Good afternoon. Welcome to the June 27th, 2024 meeting of the New York State Public Campaign Finance Board. I'm Barbara Lifton, Chair, and we're joined today by Commissioners Brian Kolb, Keisha Gaskins-Nathan, Emma Bagnola, Henry Berger, Anthony Casal, and Peter Kaczynski. We also have lead staff with us in the room as well, and I'd like to ask them to go around the room and introduce themselves. Let's start with Kristen Stavitsky.
Thank you, Commissioner. Kristen Zabrowski-Stavitsky, Co-Executive Director of the New York State Board of Elections.
Raymond Riley, Co-Executive Director, New York State Board of Elections.
Brendan Lavello, Deputy Executive Director.
Carl Zielman, Co-Director, PCFB. Bill McCann, Co-Counsel, PCFB.
Bob Eccles, Deputy Director, PCFB.
Ann Tarpinian, Enforcement Counsel, PCFB.
Brian Connor, Enforcement Counsel, PCFB.
Aaron Suggs, Co-Counsel, PCFB.
Kate Orsino, Deputy Director, PCFB. Cheryl Kauser, Co-Director, PCFB.
Thomas Connolly, Deputy Executive Director.
Is that the whole group? Great.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Hard to get a read on the whole group. Thank you. We will begin our meeting today with an executive session for the purpose of enforcement matters. Is there a motion to go into executive session to discuss an enforcement matter?
So move.
Thank you, Commissioner Kolb. Do I have a second?
Second.
And I'd like a vote. How many ayes to go into executive session?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Unanimous vote to go into executive session. We will now go into executive session for the purpose of discussing an enforcement matter. If there is any action taken in this executive session, when we come back into public session, we will report any action that we've taken. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. We've completed our executive session. During executive session, on the request of Public Campaign Finance Board Enforcement Counsel pursuant to Election Law 14-209, subsection 3, on a motion denominated E-01-2024, the New York State Public Campaign Finance Board authorized the referral of a matter to prosecutorial agencies. The vote in executive session was unanimous. Also during executive session, on the request of Public Campaign Finance Board Enforcement Counsel pursuant to Election Law Section 14-207, subsection 8, on a motion denominated E-02-2024, the New York State Public Campaign Finance Board authorized the opening of an investigation. The vote in executive session was unanimous. Thank you all. Continuing with the regular agenda, we have the minutes. I want to take up the minutes from May 1st, May 7th, and May 22nd. I'd like to approve the minutes as a package. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Thank you, Brian. A second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are adopted. Thank you. Now we have unit updates. At this time, we will be provided with a unit update from our co-directors, Cheryl Kauser and Carl Zielman. Cheryl is beginning.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is an overview of activities performed by the Public Campaign Finance Board. The Public Campaign Finance Program has been operational since November 9th, 2022. Our report will detail various aspects of program and project management. Public Campaign Finance staff has been diligently occupied with delivering ongoing training to candidates and treasurers, conducting outreach efforts, performing bank reconciliations, carrying out audits of submitted disclosure reports, making public fund payments, and overseeing enforcement measures. We thank them for their efforts. I'll start with an overview of the 2024 primaries and the program. This is preliminary information that will be gathered and increased through the general election and reported on our end-of-year report that's required. There were 38 primaries combined for the Office of State Senate and the Office of State Assembly in 2024. There are 7 primaries in the state Senate and 31 for the state assembly. Specific to the state Senate, there are a total of 7 Senate primaries and a total of 14 candidates in those primaries. Of the 7 districts, all 7 had at least 1 program participant. Every district had a payment of public matching funds. Of the 14 candidates in the Senate primary elections, 12 of the 14 candidates are program participants, that's 86%. Of the 12 program participants, 11 participating candidates received a payment, that's 92%. There were 3 program participants that did not have a primary, but the opposing major party did. 2 of the 3 participants received a payout pursuant to the 50% primary provision found in Election Law 14-204, sub 3. Regarding the state assembly, there were 31 state assembly primaries in 2024. 29 of the 31 districts had a primary, in the primary had at least 1 participating candidate. 2 districts did not have a participating candidate. There were 76 candidates in the 31 primaries. 14 of the 76 were not in the program. That's 18%. 62 of the 76 were in the program. That's 82%. And then 54 of the 62 participating candidates received a payment. That's 87%. And there's still 1 payment left. 15 candidates did not have a primary, but did have a primary in the opposing major party, triggering the provisions of Election Law 14-2043, which allows them to draw up to 50% of the primary matching funds cap. 2 of the 15 submitted for this funding, that's 13%. Again, these statistics are beginning, and they will be enhanced throughout the year and reflected on the end-of-year report that we're required to provide. In terms of training and outreach, in addition to 23 training webinars, 15 candidate-specific and 18 treasurer-specific, we published 5 tutorial training videos on the State Board YouTube channel. These videos provide instruction on how to submit contributions for matching funds, reporting public fund receipts, submitting weekly claims, reporting qualified campaign expenditures, and submitting supporting documentation. In regards to reporting and enforcement, the 32-day pre-primary and 11-day pre-primary reports were due on May 24th and June 14th, respectively. Both reports had a 100% filing rate from participating candidates. The Public Campaign Finance Board now has maintains our 100% filing rate since inception, which the first report was January 15th, 2023. We do have late filers for the March periodic, for which the penalty settlements reached by our enforcement unit will be taken up under new business. We entered into a contract for statewide service of process relative to potential litigation and administrative enforcement proceedings. The PCFB Enforcement Division reserves the right to initiate administrative enforcement actions against candidates, treasurers, and/or political committees found in violation of election law and its associated regulations. Service of process is mandated under specific circumstances in these proceedings to be conducted through personal service in accordance with the New York State Civil Practice Law and rules. At this time, I will turn the unit report over to Carl.
Thank you, Cheryl. Good afternoon, Commissioners. We continue to work with our software vendor, MTX, which provides Salesforce application designed to streamline auditing and payment processes for the PCFB program. This system will also facilitate updates across financial management, candidate management, case management, political calendars, electronic filings, and this is all integrated into one platform. MTX has been continuing work on this process with our PCFB staff members. We've reached out to external user groups for feedback related to public reporting and how data is publicly reported, and we will be setting up future meetings across the summertime to obtain their perspective on the public reporting. Space, as you may be aware, the PCFB is now located up on the 7th floor, and we're sharing this space with both compliance and ITU. Given a staffing update, consistent with our plan to phase in staffing, we have initiated our final phase of classifying and onboarding staff. The PCFB has the authority to hire 118 full-time employees. We are currently in the process of classifying the last 38 through the civil service process. These 38 would essentially be created to assist with new special projects, auditing unit beyond our existing auditing unit's responsibilities, supplement the council's office, the executive team, enforcement, training, and our administrative units. Currently, PCFB, we have 57 on board out of the 80 that are currently classified today, and we continue to post and interview for positions such as trainers, auditors, and liaisons. We are continuing to work with committees at SFS, to track and notify committees of our desire to have them sign up for direct deposit over the hard copy mail check. We also work with OGS and BSC on internal processes around reconciliation, stop payments, and reissuances of payments to respective committees. PCFB has posted the Public Campaign Finance Program calendar listing and all of its deadlines and mandatory filings applicable to all candidates, and listing the primary and general election public matching fund payment schedule online, so that's readily available. This part of the update is specific to the primary election. Again, as Cheryl had mentioned, Tuesday was our primary. State law requires 3 public fund payments for the primary election within 30 days of the election. State law states that the first payment cannot be earlier than 45 days before the election. To date, approximately $8.6 million in public matching funds have been paid out to the program participants that met eligibility requirements. Approximately $2.3 million to candidates in the state Senate and $6.4 million to participating candidates in the state assembly. The payment dates were as follows: May 13th, approximately $3.6 million, May 29th, approximately $2.4 million, June 10th, approximately $1.4 million, and June 18th, we had approximately $898,000. A final payment for the primary will be vouchered on July 22nd. The final payment will be based off of the 11-day pre-primary and post-primary July periodic campaign financial disclosure reports. We anticipate this payment to be sizable as it accounts for in-district matchable contributions received between June 4 and June 25th. General election, as today, as you've voted on, the SBOE co-chairs approved a resolution to certify $50 million to be available for public matching funds. The first general election payment is scheduled for July 8th of this year. This payment is based off of data reported through the March 15th, 2024 calendar date. Upcoming payment dates related to the general election will be July 30th, August 27th, and we will have 3 to be scheduled in the month of October. Moving into media, the program was recently mentioned in recent news articles across the state. Publications covered primary elections and included coverage on which elections had candidates receiving public matching funds. In addition, there were articles concerning the payment of public matching funds to a program candidate. PCFB cannot comment, confirm, or deny if any investigation or enforcement action has been authorized, commenced, or have been deferred. Overview of new business. The board has already taken up minutes and held the executive session. Under new business, the board will take up resolution 24-07, which is an emergency regulation to increase contribution card requirements by requiring phone or email to be required, not optional, element completed on the card. The enforcement unit has late filer actions and 2 final determinations of complaints on the agenda. And Commissioner, I yield back to you.
Thank you very much, both of you, Carl and Cheryl, for those updates. Any discussion?
Yeah, question.
Yes.
Question, please. Carl. So candidates who were in this past primary can still apply for funds that were based on contributions in June, you said, June 4th to 25th, I believe.
June 4th to June 25th. That was the time frame.
So there are candidates who obviously did not succeed in the primary, who will still be receiving money.
No, so if you were not successful in the primary, what you will do is July 22nd, if you have expenses related to your primary incurred before a primary day, which is the 25th, those would be a part of the July 22nd.
Money they would have spent already are getting kind of reimbursed for.
Correct.
But other than that, okay, all right.
Yeah, it's essentially an offset. They're entitled to get their matchable contributions up through and including the election day.
So some of them spent money in anticipation of receiving the match.
Sure, exactly correct.
I got you. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay. Thank you very much. There is no old business. Moving on to new business. There are a number of items for the board to consider under new business. I will turn to Enforcement Counsel Brian Connor and Ann Tarpinian to provide an overview of items A through D.
Thank you, Commissioner. The first item I have is Resolution 2406. This is regarding late filing penalties and settlement agreements for the March 2024 periodic financial disclosure statement. We have 12 political committees who were late filers. However, we were able to work with these committees to reach settlement agreements, and those are the subject of this resolution. We also had an additional late filer who we were not able to reach settlement with. As you know, the penalties for late filing are $50 a day. That is capped at $1,000. When you reach that point, it becomes late filer becomes failure to file, and that committee is subject to an additional penalty of $1,000. So there is before the board a notice of enforcement, just letting the board, formalizing that it is the board who is bringing this enforcement action for this particular committee, where we tried to settle and we are still making efforts, but unfortunately we have to issue this notice of enforcement.
Okay.
Thank you. So you've covered two there, Ann, and Brian, are you doing the other two?
Yes, sure, Commissioner. Yes, I think the two items are two recommendations to dismiss two complaints that that enforcement received, and the commissioners have those determinations in front of them, and I believe we would just need a vote on each of those complaints, and our recommendation would be to dismiss.
Thank you. So all four items have been covered, it sounds like.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you both for that overview. I'd like a motion to take enforcement items A through D up in one motion. Is there a motion?
So moved. So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, sorry, Keisha. Any opposed? No, none opposed. A unanimous vote on these four items. Thank you very much. Now I turn to Council Bill McCann and Aaron Suggs to provide an overview of item E on the agenda about adopting an emergency resolution.
Sure. So Carl alluded to it earlier. We're proposing a amendment to the regulations to contribution cards in order to add email address and telephone number to the required information. If a contributor submitted the card without that information or any other of the required information on a contribution card, a matchable claim would be denied until that information was supplied. There are two exceptions to the contribution card requirements. They will be met if, for online processors, if the processor provides the required information, then we wouldn't actually require the card. And then for checks, if it has a printed name and address on the check, then we would not require a contribution card. The only exception to that is if it's a handwritten name or address. In that case, we would require a contribution card, and that is the provisions.
Thank you. I'd like a motion to take up this item, to pass this resolution. Any
Second.
discussion? Any discussion? A second? Did I get a second? Second, thank you very much. All in favor? Aye, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the vote is unanimous on this last item. This concludes the meeting of the New York State Public Campaign Finance Board. The next meeting date is to be determined. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move that.
Second? Thank you, Keisha. Those in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Vote is unanimous. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.